Harley-Davidson was just about ready to go bankrupt. I bought out another dealer at 30 cents on the dollar. And so I got in at a perfect time, with it. At the time, I didn't have enough money to even buy that guy out or add on to my building, and all three banks in our hometown turned me down because I didn't have enough collateral to cover the loan. But then one of them called me back 2 days later and said, "Come on back in, we'll talk to you." And he said, "Well, you don't have enough collateral to cover this, but I think you're good with people, a good mechanic. I think this might work for you. The bank's going to take a chance on you."
Wow, hooray! Hooray!
And to this day, that same banker, he doesn't work there anymore, but he works in Appleton at another place. And he comes in every year or two and says, "Geez, what a wonderful thing I've done with the chance he gave me." So
oh, wonderful.
Good,
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of hard work. I grew up in Algoma, Wisconsin, and my parents wouldn't let me have a motorcycle, so I went down to the local hardware store and I bought some electrical conduit, got a tubing bender, and I bent up a frame, and then I put a 5-horsepower Briggs on it. I made a little chopper, a little front end. I made my own front end and everything, and I built this little chopper. I took it down to the Algoma Police Department and got it licensed for the street. Back then you could do that,
Yes.
And I put 3,600 miles on a little 5-horsepower Briggs mini bike in one summer, cruising around our town, And but that led me one day to finding my first Harley, and that thing, it was a 1939 flathead ULH, 80 cubic inch. I only made it for 4 years, and a very rare bike. But my throttle on the mini bike broke one day, so I decided to go to my buddy's house, who had a bunch of go-karts and mini bikes around his house, and I said, "Do you have any extra throttles?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, okay." But he said, "My grandfather's got an old Harley out back of the barn." So we pedaled our bikes a mile outside of town to this old guy's house, and he's sitting on the front porch of his house drinking a bottle of wine, and it's almost gone. and it's 9:30 in the morning, and I said, "Well, we're looking for a throttle for the mini bikes." "Well, I got my old Harley frame out back. You can go take a look, And he said, "I bought that bike brand new in '39. He said, "I drove it for 17 years. Then I got drunk one night at the Luxembourg Fairgrounds racing a horse, and I laid it down." And he said, "I got scared of it. So I took it home, took all the parts and put them in the barn, and threw the chassis out back." So he had everything in the barn on shelves.
Wow.
The saddlebags, the sheet metal, everything, engine, transmission, all the stuff. And the chassis was out back. So I went and looked at it. Well, of course, the handlebars are all built into the front end, and the throttle is built into the handlebars. And so I said, "It's really not going to work on a mini bike." He said, "Well, I'll sell you the whole bike." And I said, "Well, I can't afford that." And he said, "I'll sell it cheap." And I said, "Well, you only get 10 cents a week allowance." I said, I don't think I can even afford cheap. And he said, "I'll sell it real cheap." And I said, "Okay, how much is real cheap?" He said, "I will sell you every Harley part I have on my farm for $2.
Wow!
$2?
Can't
because 20 was already and $2. And I think he was thinking of just going and get another bottle of wine that morning. But so anyway, I said, "Okay, I'll be right back." And I got on my bicycle, I pedaled it back to town as fast as I could, and I got my mom with the station wagon. And by the way, that station wagon was a 1964 Impala station wagon. My dad had special ordered brand new with a 409. So a cool station wagon. We loaded the 409 station wagon with Harley parts for $2, and I took it home and I tore it completely apart. Worked on it all winter long. I taught myself everything about the engine, the transmission, all the related parts. I put it all back together. Of course, you had to make a chopper in those days. So I all the stock original parts, the Cycle Ray headlamp, all the neat stuff, all went off to the chopper shop for next to nothing and got traded for chrome goodies, and different chopper parts. So I built my first chopper, and it had big high pipes up the back, and I made my own king and queen seat. I got on my mom's sewing machine and sewed up a black and white seat that goes up the back. And my mom, I painted my tanks green with a green paintbrush, or green enamel paint with a paintbrush, but it actually came out pretty nice. And then my mom hand painted dragons on the side of the tank in yellow. And really neat dragons, So, boy, I got that thing on the road. It was a jockey shift and a foot clutch, and I had my higher handlebars, and I was styling, And so I drove it all that next summer in Algoma, and then I sold it, and I never saw the bike again. So, but that was my first Harley. But I had $75 in it by the time it hit the road, and I sold it later that summer for $100. So I made a $25 profit.
Yes.
And then I went and bought another Harley and just kept the ball rolling. But at any rate, that bike just was so cool, and I had pictures of it. My mom had taken pictures of that thing back in the day that I've kept all these years, and there's a picture I can show you in the shop of what it looked like. And so based on those pictures, I was at an auction 3 years ago, and I found another old flathead Harley that was all in pieces and a bunch of stuff missing. And I bought it at the auction real right. So I thought, if I can get this, I'm going to do a remake of my first bike. And I did. This winter, I did the remake of the first bike. It's sitting down in my garage.
Oh, what a cool
remake of the
story.
whole bike, except now my mom had passed away in 2000, so I couldn't have her put dragons on the side. So I sat down at the kitchen table and I did the hand-painted dragons on the side. But then I put in there Doc and Mom to give her credit for the design. And they come out pretty darn nice and pretty close to what the originals look like. So.
Wow, what a good story. Wow.
I got a picture to bike on.